Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is William Silla. Operations in public universities were today disrupted as lecturers made good their threat to down their tools despite a court order. The Kenya University Staff Union and University Academic Staff Union officially launched their strike after their one-week notice lapsed without any communication from the government. The Dons are pressing the government to honor a collective bargaining agreement that was signed in 2015, which has not yet been implemented. The strike involves members of the Kenya University Staff Union, University Academic Staff Union, WASU, and the Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions, Hospitals and Allied Workers, KUDEHA. Linda Ogutu begins our broadcast tonight.
The call for money and the song that has now become synonymous with striking civil servants. Teaching and non-teaching staff beginning their nationwide strike to push for higher salaries in honor of a collective bargaining agreement which they say has not yet been implemented. The strike coming after 1 week notice lapse, with officials saying they have received no communication from the stakeholders.
If you can get an MCA who never went to university is getting 400,000, what do you expect a professor to earn?
Tuko tayari kwa any kind of arrest. Ijapokuwa tunaomba Mungu asitupe cardiac arrest. Kwa hivyo mgomo huu ulivyoanzishwa umeanza rasmi na ngoma hii itarindima vilivyo mpaka siku ile serikali yetu ambayo tunaiamini kwamba ina uwezo huo, kwa sababu pesa watu wanazo.
At the University of Nairobi, things were no different. The strike taking effect despite the Employment and Labor Relations Court blocking public university lecturers from participating in the strike. In her order, Justice Wasilwa restrained the respondents, KUSU and WASU, the officials, agents and all members from taking part in what she termed an unprotected strike or any form of industrial action pending the hearing and determination of the application by the Inter-Public Universities Council Consultative Forum. That restraint, it seems, has been ignored.
We cannot ask for a pay rise such that the lowest paid lecturer, for example, is supposed to receive 365,000 shillings minimum, and the professor starts at 900,000 shillings to a maximum of 1.5 million, and then they come and give us an offer of 3%. That is an insult to our intelligence.
The Dons are pushing for higher perks, which comprise the 2013-2017 collective bargaining agreement drawn up by the universities, unions and the government. The union says the CBA, which is set to expire in 6 months, has never been implemented since it was drawn up 6 years ago. Part of that agreement will see a new payment structure that they say will address huge salary disparities.
Universities have not, and I'm saying have not, made any attempt to negotiate with our national leaders, to negotiate for these salaries. They are using the court just to hold on so that they run the clock down.
The strike officially started in at least 9 universities, including Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, Moi, Masinde Muliro and Chuka. Teaching and non-teaching staff also abandoned their workstations at Maseno, Egerton, Masai Mara, Kisii and Machakos universities as well. Linda Ogutu, KTN News.
The government has warned that up to 2 million Kenyans risk facing starvation due to the ongoing drought situation. However, it insists that while the situation is critical, it's still not a national disaster. This, as up to 50% of livestock in the county of Marsabit have died, and the Ndakaini Dam that supplies water to Nairobi has hit an all-time low due to the drought. Sharon Momanit reports.
At Mzee Ukur Mamo's homestead, faces of desperation speak of the devastating effects drought has had on this and many other families in Marsabit County. 4 days ago, Mamo's family moved from El Best to this place in North Hor, 50 kilometers away. And just like the family, this woman's feet speak of a long walk in search of food.
Nisema hii mbuzi yote ni yake, iliisha mara moja wakati walikuwa naleta kwa maji.
In Durkana, One of the hardest hit areas in Marsabit, food distribution is ongoing. But the available food is not enough to feed all the 1,200 manyatas that are located in the area. Each household receives 17 kilograms of maize and 7 kilograms of beans, which is expected to last them 2 months before they receive another round of the donation.
Nasema ni tisho kwanza kwa watoto ambao hawezi wakakula mahindi, wale ambao unatarajia kufeed na hawa, nasema ni tisho kwanza kwa watoto na kwa wazee.
Kwa na jamii wakihama kutoka sehemu ambayo wako na wamekuja mahala pengine, tafadhalini tuweze kuwa na subira, tuweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba jamii ambayo tuko nayo tunashirikiana pamoja ili tuhakikishe ya kwamba tunaweza kuvuka hii muda ambayo ni inatutatiza kwa sasa.
Marsabit County leaders yesterday called for a meeting to unite the Gabra, Rendile, Borana and Somalis and urged them to avoid conflicts in sharing of resources.
We want support because we have lost almost 50% of our livestock. And I'm sure in the next 2-3 months, we are likely to lose up to 80%.
Marsabit is just but one affected area, as up to 2 million Kenyans are facing starvation. But government says the situation is not yet a national disaster.
The issue you keep repeating is that it looks like government is not prepared. It's like this is a knee-jerk reaction. We want to say it is not. When we last had drought of this level in 2011, we had leadership in the entire Horn of Africa coming together, the IGAD, the area coming together, and they came up with the end drought emergency strategies. And this is an ongoing program.
So it is important that we answer questions. What are we doing now? 3, we have put measures into place. We are not running at the emergency. We are only progressing on the plans that we have set aside.
As we speak, the people are on the ground making the assessment, and it may confirm what was there in October or may indicate that more is required for intervention.
The government says affected households will receive 2,700 shillings every month for food supplies and that 21 million bags of maize are available for relief to those affected. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News.
It's now bringing the Secretary General of the Kenya Red Cross, Abbas Kulet. Sir, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right. In December, we did talk about, there was a report of 1.3 million Kenyans facing acute food shortage. That figure has risen to 2 million. Is this going to keep rising? And can you paint for us a picture of how the situation is?
Well, so the story is that we had the previous long rains of 2016, March, April, May, that was not sufficient. It was then compounded by the short rains in October, November, December also failing. So we've gotten into now January, but the picture was that indeed it's true, by December we had 1.3 million Kenyans that needed assistance. Since then the government has just now released the new figures of 2 million. The fact of the matter is between now and the next rainy season, which is April or end of March or April, the dry spell will continue, and the prediction has been that it will be dry and there'll be no rains. So we are now getting into a proper El Nino now. La Nina, sorry. We're getting to a La Nina period, and the prediction being said also is that the long rainy season, March, April, May not all be that good. So it is a repeat of what we saw in 2011. So you'll have a full-blown La Nina that the government has been preparing with its partners, the UN, NGOs and other actors, to now decisively address this issue, because we don't want to get into the tipping point. What has been happening between September last year to now is where there has been response by the government and complementing, also getting efforts of support from NGOs, including the Red Cross, the UN and other actors.
All right. We'll talk about some of the interventions that the Kenya Red Cross maybe have planned and have worked so far in the country. But do you think as a country we have responded to this in the best way possible?
I think so, and what I think we should also realize is that in 2011, Kenya could easily get aid from the international community and from the donor community. Since 2011 to 2013, Kenya was now declared as a low middle income country, which means we do not qualify for aid like other countries in the region. So we'll have to fend for ourselves, the nation. And for me, you know, people talk about government, and I always ask myself, who is the government? I'm government, you are government, we're all government one way or another. Government doesn't mean it's the executive and the legislative and the judiciary alone, but all of us as Kenyans. When crises arise like the current one, we all need to be prepared. We all need to chip in and help what we can in alleviating this suffering. There's a serious drought now going on in the country. And if you look at especially the districts of the counties of the arid and semi-arid counties, which are almost 21 or 20, going to 23, we have serious problem. And the fact is, we all have to chip in. As Kenya Red Cross, we've decided we will be involved, and we've been involved from day one.
We have seen a lot of comparisons to 2011. In 2011, there was the Kenyans for Kenya. Are we going to get there? What can be done as a country, you know, to come together and address this?
So what I want to say, yes, the comparison is right. And because of the climate change and the reality we live in, you would find that every, Kitili, every 3 to 5 years we had you know, a mini drought, and every 5 years we now have a major drought. So this is not something a rocket science we couldn't tell. The prediction was there from ICPAC and the climate center that we have in this region. So certainly if we don't act now decisively in January, in 2011, Kenya Red Cross launched an appeal in 2011 January, warning the country and the world that if we don't act now, by the time it gets to April, May, June, we'll be in full-blown crisis. So to avoid that now, is we're saying, if December was 1.3, now it's 2 million. I'm sure in February, in March, the numbers are going to rise. In 2011, we had 4.5 million Kenyans who needed assistance.
I want us to talk about the cash transfer project by the Kenya Red Cross. But before we do that, let's bring you in on our big question discussion tonight. We're asking you, do you think the drought should be declared a national disaster? What do you think? Text us your views, your yes or no opinion, plus a brief comment to our studio line 22155. You can also talk to us online on Twitter at Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, at KTN Kenya. The hashtag is KTN Prime. Right. Take us through that cash transfer project. How does it work, and has it worked so far in the places where you've tried it?
Yeah, I mean, cash transfer. Kenya is the home of M-Pesa. Kenya is home of money, you know, mobile, telephonic or mobile money. And we've done this for the last 5-6 years, so it's not something that we are doing today. We find cash transfer today is the way to do it. Internationally, after World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul last year, most of the international organizations, UN agencies, and many international NGOs, and including local ones here, we're saying to make it more appropriate, you don't give people food, and a food that they may not even have the firewood or the fuel to cook it. Give people cash, give them their dignity. You don't want them to queue up for hours and hours where women could be doing other things in their respective families. So cash transfers, we've done it. We are now in the current drought. We started doing this in Kilifi, in 2 areas of Kilifi, Bamba and Ganze. We are now doing in Kilifi, Kaloleni area. We have done the same thing in Marsabit in North Hor, which we're just seeing, and Laisamis, and now we're going to go to Moyale. We are going to also experiment food vouchers, which has been done elsewhere, where we go to vendors. This is the best thing here, Ben, is that in the countryside, like we saw, some parts of Kenya may not have food, but the many other parts have excess food. And the fact is, what people are lacking is purchasing power. Power to purchase. So we're giving families 6,000 shillings in Kilifi, through M-Pesa, and by having assessed them, registered them with the local county government, with the central government participation and the community. Once they are registered, we transfer the money to them.
What about some parts of this country, like some parts of Marsabit, very vast country, where the people there depend on their livestock. The livestock, 50% have died. They expect to lose more. What is more practical for those ones?
So for those ones, what we have done with them, we're doing cash transfer. But for now, in this current situation, the best thing to help the pastoralist communities is to do animal destocking. The government has been doing that. Red Cross has been doing that. FAO has been training people. So there's been a lot of work put in this. I think the perception in this country that not enough is being done is not true. In the 1.3 million, by December, almost 1 million were being reached through government and other agencies' intervention. We as Kenya Red Cross took an appeal for 114,000 Kenyans in 6 counties. Of that, we have reached 53,000. Depending on the funding that we have, we'll be able to reach more. As the numbers go higher and higher, you know, people, we just all need to chip in, and time will come probably when we'll have to launch an appeal to ask for help. But animal destocking now, restocking when the rains come, so that they can have their meaningful life again and give them back dignity.
Final question for you, sir. The question we're asking our viewers, 2 million people the government says are facing starvation, but it's still not a national disaster. When will it become a national disaster?
I think for me, maybe we ask this question differently. There are Kenyans who need assistance today, and the government is doing a lot in helping these people. I'm saying Red Cross, UN, ordinary Kenyans like we did in 2011, we all can come in and help and complement the government's effort to reach Kenyans that need our assistance today, so they don't get into the tipping point. Because if we allow them to go to the tipping point, in June, in July, in August, in September this year, then we will see malnutrition and people who are actually going to die.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure talking to you, talking to the Secretary General of the Kenya Red Cross, Abbas Gulet, on the current situation, the drought that has been ravaging many parts of this country. In other news, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta has officially hit the ground, joining other political leaders in a massive campaign to get people to register as voters. And just like his political opponents in court, Uhuru began with his strongholds. Karonderi reports.
President Uhuru Kenyatta commenced his voter mobilization exercise in the Mount Kenya region, with his first stop being Murang'a County. Here at Thika Greens, he first met leaders from the region before flagging off the roadshow truck that will be used in the mobilization exercise. He later proceeded for his tour of Murang'a County that entailed 18 stops in different shopping centers. President Uhuru also asked officials to expedite the issuance of identity cards.
Naomba na tuwasema vijana wa Kenya wapatiwe vitambulisho, kwa sababu vitambulisho baadaye mtu achukue kura. Vijana ndio wengi, na mkiwa wengi na hamna kura hamwezi kujisaidia, na njia ya kujisaidia ni ya kuchagua yule kiongozi ambaye atawasaidia.
As he made stops at voter registration centers where he monitored the exercise, Uhuru expressed confidence of winning elections come August.
Yule tuwasema ni ya kwamba hata tukiingia wakati ya campaign tufanye campaign zetu kwa amani.
In the next few days, he is expected to tour several other counties that include Isiolo, Nyeri, Meru, Samburu, Garissa, Kitui, Marsabit and Kajiado. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has toured Murang'a County, and by extension he will be visiting Central Kenya and the larger Mount Kenya, where he is urging the voters to come out in large numbers to register themselves as voters, because that is the only way that their voices shall be heard. Carol Derry, KTN News, Murang'a County.
With politics now, and before we continue with local politics, with some news just in the last few minutes, is that of course in the political crisis that has been in West Africa, in Gambia, Adama Barrow has been sworn in as a Gambian president. Remember, Adama Barrow did beat a long-serving president of that country, Yahya Jammeh, who refused to cede power, saying that the electoral process was marred with irregularities. There was a lot of pressure from especially the ECOWAS countries on Yahya Jammeh to step down. There was a deadline for midnight last night for him to hand over power, or for them to have some military intervention. So Adama Barrow has been sworn in neighboring country, Senegalese capital, Dakar. That is, of course, a story we are keeping an eye on, a developing story on that political crisis, hoping that it will end sooner rather than later. Of course, Yahya Jammeh still in Gambia, holding on to power by a thread. But that is the latest from Gambia, from Dakar, Senegal, where Adama Barrow, who was the opposition leader in that country, has been sworn in as president in the Gambian embassy in Senegal, in Dakar. Let's now come back to the country, and as Uhuru Kenyatta canvassed parts of central Kenya, CORD leader Raila Odinga was in the South Nyanza area where he claimed that the government is out to tarnish the reputation of the Mombasa governor Ali Hassan Joho over his firm political stand. He claimed he has received intelligence reports that the police are being used to paralyze Joho. He spoke at Isebania in the county of Migori.
Raila Odinga arrived in style at the border town of Isebania in Migori County. He was here to ask the Korean people to register en masse in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Deputy President William Ruto was scheduled to have a parallel meeting at Isebania, but he said to have cancelled it. That notwithstanding, Raila asked ODM supporters not to worry this time round. The CORD leader toured Nyamira, Kisii and Migori counties today, calling on residents who've not registered to make use of this moment to acquire that all-important card. CORD leader Raila Odinga has clearly indicated that the next 30 days will be very, very crucial in his race to State House. And he knows too well that he has to move around very fast to ensure that he secures those numbers. Rashid Ronald, KTN News, Nyabuhanse, in the county of Migori.
The race for numbers, our coverage of the mass voter registration exercise continues here on KTN. Now, the Kenya African National Union, CANU, has decided to keep Kenyans guessing at least for another 2 weeks when delegates will decide the party's direction towards the August 2017 general election. The CANU NEC meeting today resolved not to dissolve the party. Timothy Otieno has the details.
The Cockrell Party hoping to crow profoundly this election season, but seemingly not quite sure who to throw their weight behind. A series of interesting appearances from the party's Secretary General Nick Salat in opposition events has created an unease among some members of the KANU party, which led the National Executive Council to hold a meeting at the party's headquarters in Nairobi, which lasted nearly 4 hours. The leadership has since resolved that KANU may go it alone in the August 8th general elections.
KANU has not deviated from its initial position that it will not dissolve as a party. 2, that KANU will field candidates for all elective positions countrywide, from MCAs, MPs, women representatives, senators and governors.
Katiba ya Kenya inasema kuanzia 2010 mwezi wa 8 tarehe 27 saa 4 na dakika 27 Kenya is a multi-party democracy. Sio chama moja. Hata ninawahurumia hii watu wenye wanasema twende chama inaitwa Jubilee Party of Kenya itatawala Kenya. Haiwezi.
The party is yet to decide who to back for president, but the decision by its Secretary General Nick Salat to join the opposition during the launch of the National Super Alliance may point towards the direction KANU may take, even though the party's top brass says it's too early to call it and even went ahead to denounce Salat's statement at the launch.
And we're keeping our options open. All options are open on the table for KANU right now. We've got we've got the NASA, of course, we've got Jubilee there, and we've got KANU to go it alone.
We discussed everything, including my being with the NASA team, and we've not limited ourselves to. That is why we've mandated the chair. I've given my report on my being, having gone to NASA, and it has been received.
The oldest party in Kenya, seeking to remain afloat in the midst of changing political tides sweeping the country, has in the past several months engaged in an onslaught against the Jubilee administration, with the latest one coming from the funeral of late politician Mark Too.
Ane Gideon Kipsiele Weritap Chumyon.
I, Gideon Kipsiele, son of Moi, am not the one dividing the Kalenjins.
Nai Chiton Gurenge Kondoindet Yomigi.
If there is anything wrong, then it must be said. Tell Uhuru the truth. And as Kosgei and Biwott have said, let him come and ask for votes. Don't just give your votes easily.
Ifanyike vile tafanyika.
Ngebendi luget kumagilen kaleng ngot komasich alia.
When you are going to war, you do not say, if we lose. That is against the Kalenjin tradition. If this was the case, then former President Moi would not have gotten the presidency.
The party is planning on holding a national delegates conference within the next 2 weeks to make a decision on which trajectory KANU will take just 7 months to the general election. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Away from politics, let's now turn our attention to a conference meeting of a different kind, and the top sportsmen and women of the year 2016 are being awarded tonight. Let's now cross over live to the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where KTN sports reporter Robinson Okenye is standing by for us. Robinson, good evening. If you can just tell us what's happening there. Do we already know some winners or what?
Very good evening to you, Ben Kitili. I mean, this is the conglomerate of the top sportsmen and women that we have in the country gathering here at the KCC. Now, the awards have just begun, the speeches have ended, and remember, the chief guest of this event is none other than Ethiopian great, that's Haile Gebrselassie. And the award that has just been given right now before we came live on air is the coach of the year that has gone to Jos Openda. Remember, he led Telkom Orange to clinching their 19th local crown and the 9th African Club Championship crown this year here in Nairobi. So it's a big achievement to Jos Openda guiding Telkom to that. But I would like to bring to your attention, the people that have been nominated in the top, the Sportsman of the Year 2016 and the Sportswoman of the Year 2016. These are the people that shone in different sports in the country. In the Sportsman of the Year, we have Colin Sinjera. Remember, he's the all-time top try scorer in the IRB World 7 Series. We also have Eliud Kipchoge. He won the London Marathon in 2016, won the Rio Olympics Marathon in 2016. We have Conseslus Kipruto, the 3,000-meter steeplechase Olympic champion. We have David Rudisha, won back-to-back Olympic gold medal in Rio 2016. We have Michael Lunga. You remember that name? He was among the top scorers in the Swedish league. He plays for Jagudens FC. In the Sportswoman of the Year award, we have Faith Chepngetich. She won 1,500 meter in Rio Olympics. We have Vivian Cheruiyot, the 5,000 meter gold medalist in Rio. We have Jemima Sumgong, the gold medalist at the Rio Olympics. Triza Tuka plays for Pipeline volleyball team, and we have Fatuma Zarika, who's a WBC champion. Now, these are the men and women that will be battling for the top award in different in the men and women categories. Remember last year we had javelin champion, the world javelin champion Julius Yego winning the top award. That's the overall award. So tonight we are looking forward to seeing who will be crowned the Sportsman of the Year 2016. Remember, 2016 Kenya performed well. So we'll be telling you, Kitili, and the viewers in general, who emerges as the top from this conglomerate of top sportsmen and women that we have here.
Thank you, Robinson. We shall be definitely coming back to the KICC to just find out who the winners are tonight. Now, we are taking a quick commercial break, but before we do that, let's now remind you a big question. Of course, the government has warned that up to 2 million Kenyans risk facing starvation due to the ongoing drought situation. But it is still not a national disaster, according to the government. We're asking, do you think the drought should be declared a national disaster? Keep sending your texts and tweets. Welcome back to KTN Prime. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in business. And Kenya's mobile subscriptions has seen a 3% decline in the first quarter of the 2016-2017 financial year to stand at 38.5 million subscriptions from 39.7 million reported in the last quarter. According to the ICT sector's statistics, a similar decline was recorded on the total number of data subscriptions that stands at 25.6 million, down from 26.8 million, representing a 4.5% drop. The decline in the two key performance indicators were attributed to the alignment of the reporting by one of the operators to the regulatory requirement, which defines subscribers as those who have used a revenue-generating service within the preceding 90-day period. The alignment was specifically made by Telecom Kenya in the quarter under review in compliance with the said requirement. Despite the decline, though, broadband penetration recorded a 3.5% rise, with broadband subscriptions increasing by 10.2% to reach international bandwidth recorded a substantial growth of 17.2% to stand at 2.02 million Mbps. Right. Now, Safaricom's youth network, in conjunction with the Standard Group's Kenya Television Network, has unveiled the 12 contestants who will be taking part in its new reality show, Blaze BYOB TV, which will premiere on the Monday, the 6th February 2017. The Blaze Be Your Own Boss show, or BYOB, has seen contestants selected from Nairobi, the Rift Valley, Central, Western and Coast regions. Aspiring entrepreneurs are all aged below 26 years and were selected following a rigorous auditions process that was carried out during the Blaze BYOB mentorship summits held between June and October 2016. The TV series will be on air for a period of 8 weeks, during which the contestants will be evaluated on their ability to perform outstandingly well across a series of tasks that will assess their business skills, navigating carefully crafted challenges that emulate real-life situations.
Have a passion, who have a dream, who have gone through a fairly rigorous audition.
Young people are inspiring, and I want to thank Safaricom for the work that they are doing for the youth in this country. I think you continue to lead in inspiration and in transforming lives. We have other youth programs, but this is really transformative. And for the contestants, when we meet you and when we see you over the next 8 weeks, starting on 6th of February, we know you will transform lives.
We have good ideas, and we're representing all the youth in this country, so expect good representation from us.
Now, the Capital Markets Authority is looking to have more industry players list at the Nairobi Securities Exchange through partnership with willing and able companies as per the Capital Market Master Plan. This is geared towards developing a pipeline of successful businesses to be listed in the future. However, one of the major challenges identified is the relatively few listings on the NSE and the need to increase listings to create deep and more liquid capital markets. To address this challenge, the master plan has a target to increase listings on the growth enterprise market segment of the NSE by 3 to 4 companies annually, which reflects the supply of future main board listed companies. While the NSE's current performance appears dim, the Capital Markets Authority says that the authority will hold a business incubator and accelerator on the listing experience in March of this year.
A very good evening and welcome to today's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Moses Wahesi, and straight away we start with matters to do with the 13th edition of the Soya Awards. And currently, what we'll be getting the live pictures is Colin Sinjera, who has taken the ngong of the best athlete in the males category 2016. Actually, the event is live at the KICC, and different sporting personalities are expected to be picked this time out in matters to do with this championship, in matters to do actually with the best sporting personalities in the country, those sporting people who are able to star in matters of different sports in the year 2016. Colin Sinjera, actually, he is the best when it comes to matters of the men's affair. And also remember, Jos Openda, that is a tactician of Telecom Orange, earlier was able to be crowned the victor when it comes to matters of the best coach in the year 2016. And also he aided his side also to bag this year's edition of the club championship and for that he has been able actually to capture it 9 times in total and 5 times in a row. So that is just matters to do with the 2016 Sawyer Awards presentation, and that is the 13th edition. Just talking about Sawyer Awards and the different people who are expected actually to be crowned as victors in the actually best athlete in the men's category. Colin Sinjera actually has been able to take that. And remember, Colin Sinjera was very, very instrumental in the Kenya Sevens team. They were able to win the Singapore Sevens leg, and also for him, he is the all-time leading try-top scorers in matters to do with the HSBC World actually Sevens. Eli Kipchoge was also on that list, Conseslus Kipruto, David Rudisha, and also Michael Olunga. For them, they were able to star in the different fields, but the man of the night is none other than one Collins Injera. So about the best women's category, we have Faith Chepngetich. Also, she was very impressive in matters to do with the Rio Olympics. We also have Vivian Cheriot among the ladies who are trying to go for it. Jemima Sumgong, very, very instrumental in matters to do with the Olympics, again, bagging the gold medal. And Triza Atuka, volleyballer, Zarika Fatuma, also very, very instrumental when it comes to matters of boxing. So for them, they're chasing that title. And let's wait and see, actually, who's going to have the final laugh in that tie. When it comes to matters of the best team, Kenya Rugby Sevens team, Tusker FC, Nzoia United, actually they are now promoted. They will be taking part in the Kenya Premier League come next season. And also Simba 15's rugby team, very, very instrumental when it comes to matters of 15s rugby all over the continent. And Butali Warriors, they were not able to back this year's edition of the Hockey Club Championship, but for them, they're saying we are up there among the best teams of 2016 in the country. So who will have the final laugh when it comes to matters of this championship? It's just a matter of wait and see. But all different teams here. Telkom Orange among the women's team, for them, they have their 5th consecutively club championship title, and the tactician, that is Joseph Penda, as I said earlier, he is the coach of 2016. Rollball team also is among the best women's team. KPA also among that team. Kenya under 23, very, very instrumental when it comes to matters of volleyball. Also, their tactician was among the listed best women coaches. So we just wait and see. I know a lot will be happening, and maybe we'll just wait and see who will actually have the final laugh in matters to do with this actually championship. Now, moving on from matters to do with the Sawyer Awards, we have matters to do with the KPL issues to do with the club licensing. We remember different teams actually were relegated. That is among Sofapaka, also Thika United. But Moroni Youth chairman, that is none other than James Odor, has come out and said, you know what, my side has been relegated, but we are going to appeal, and we are very, very optimistic that the appeal will come to our favor because the Football Kenya Federation did not follow all the stipulated regulations. Listen in.
It's unfortunate that the president of FKF, Mr. Nick Mwenda, went to the media to announce a very unfortunate or sensitive information without first passing the information to us. Yes, we just read it in the media. They had not, by that time, on 9th, when it was coming through the media, the clubs, like Moroni Youth, we had not received any communication at all. And when we went to Nairobi to challenge or contest his declaration, the next day we received a letter from his CEO, Mr. Mudomi, to tell us why we have been relegated. So why the hurry to execute a very important process with a hurry that probably may not work well for the clubs? Because here, I support the club license system 100%. I support it. It will bring about professionalism. It will bring about the beauty of football in Kenya. It will bring about investment. It will bring about growth in social infrastructural systems that have never been there in football. So due diligence and due process must be followed, not political directives. As a club, we have challenged that declaration through the legal mechanisms and criteria given through the club license system, and that is the appeals board. So maybe they amended the appeals board, and the same copy was given to the sports tribunal. The case is being heard probably today in Nairobi, in the the sports tribunal court.